Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, Tuesday, May 20th. I am Marsh, joined for a SWBA Tuesday morning by Rico. Good morning, Rico. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here on the show, man.
Well, we've got a huge day in hoops action. We do have the night off from SimWorld U, which we will get to. One game in particular that we will get to. But the SWBA marches on Minnesota and Oklahoma City tonight at 8:30 in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. A huge tilt in what figures to be one of the most unique, interesting, storyline centric conference finals on both sides of the house. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Indiana, New York. We're going to get the first time champion from one of the star players on all four teams. So, Rico, let's start with the Minnesota, Oklahoma City one, and we're making picks, man. Both of these series. I want to know who you got, why do you got them, and what's the storyline that you're watching in Minnesota, Oklahoma City.
Okay, so yeah, great question, man, off top. But I think that the storyline here is just really which team is going to show up. I think that when we look at the Thunder, yes, we see Shea Gillis Alexander. We know how great he is. We know how great Jalen Williams is. But really, it's just that the team around these guys has been special, whether it's been Alex Caruso in that acquisition, Isaiah Hartenstein, right? Like he showed up well. And it's just to go with those young pieces there. And so, when I'm looking at this initially, I think it could be OKC that advances. However, I'm a bit hesitant to pick against Minnesota because Anthony Edwards has shown us that no lead is ever safe. It doesn't matter how much you're up, he can have the ability to come back in those games. And he's so unguardable. It's to the point where he can get to the free throw line, he can knock down 3-point shots and things like that. And so, um, man, I'm going to say I believe it's OKC, and I just think that it's 7 games. I think that this is a real tough series. It can go either way, but I just think that when you look at the entire team, just from top to bottom, I just think that OKC has a little bit deeper of a team. But we'll see what happens now. Bigger stage. Does the experience show? We'll find out.
This is my favorite series of the two. I am stoked for this, and I actually got bored and just decided to look up the seats and ticket prices.
Yep.
You can sit lower bowl for game one of the conference finals for $250 in Oklahoma City, which I this has no relevance at all. I just can't believe that there's that affordable of a ticket price for game. I mean, that's lower bowl. You can sit upper bowl for $108. Why am I saying that? Because this game is going to be freaking sick, Rico.
Yep.
This is Anthony Edwards. This out like you want to tell me that the SWBA doesn't have American stars, and let me show you 3 stars that are going to work. Anthony Edwards, one of them. He's the most exciting player in basketball. I love watching him play. I didn't mind losing as a Warriors fan because Anthony Edwards is freaking awesome, man. Like his 3-pointer at the tail end of the first half of Game 3 at the buzzer from like 34 feet was incredible. I mean, I'm using not really eloquent terms because he's just like that raw and awesome to watch. And then the Thunder, I said this to Siege yesterday. I really think that the second quarter, the end of that second quarter for Minnesota, or excuse me, for Oklahoma City, when they flipped what was a 1-point game into a blowout, that was, in my opinion, the tipping point for Oklahoma City. That was them going from we think we could be good enough, we play a great regular season, but we can't get over this hump. That that stretch flipped everything. And I think this Oklahoma City team is completely different now. I think there's more confidence. And look, I could be proven wrong. I think this thing is going 7. But I'm taking Oklahoma City in 7 because I think that they now have a swagger about them, a sense of assuredness that they didn't have before because they hadn't done it. And now, look, Minnesota's a tough team. Julius Randle is playing out of his mind. Anthony Edwards is incredible. They found a way to keep Rudy Gobert. Like, it's incredible to me that Rudy Gobert is now not getting played off the floor in postseason games when, like, the entirety of his career, Rico, he was. So to me, the storyline is who who between Julius Randle and Jalen Williams, what number two like shows up, right? Because Jalen Williams had an incredible game seven after having an atrocious game six. Do we get game six or game seven, J Dub? And then Julius Randle has been playing. I don't know what's going on with him, Rico, because he has never been this good, and he's playing the best basketball of his entire career at an age and a point in his career where that should not be happening. Like, he shouldn't be peaking right now. He should have already reached his peak and like being at the peak. Now he's on the up, hitting his peak at this exact moment. It is just extremely entertaining to watch.
And you're right on par. And I mean, with Julius Randle and then also too with Dante DiVincenzo, these
DiVincenzo, we
guys
got that.
are.
We got the pronunciation for him.
Yeah, thank you. These guys are just literally just X factors, man. I think
Yeah.
that really their play over the last what round or so, I think it's almost made it to where the trade that was made between the Knicks and
Yes.
Minnesota, it literally has evened out. Isn't it funny that the trade, it looked like it was all about the New York Knicks, but now
Hmm.
it's just come through for the Wolves at the right time. And so the only thing that you would say is like, okay, if you're betting with the Wolves, the experience factor, right? Like, do you feel like, okay, the experience, like you said, Randall, Dante as well, like, do those guys trump just the fact that the Thunder really haven't been here, so to speak? I mean, that's a possibility, but I just think that the Thunder, man, just how deep they are. I didn't even talk about Lou Dort, Carson Wallace, like,
Yeah.
they just got so much. I just think that that might be tough to overcome for the Wolves, but I just really feel like that this is going seven, man. I really do.
I agree with you. I think it's going seven. I will say I was in Denver in March, and Julius Randle had just come back from injury. I think he had a shoulder injury, and I go to the Wolves. It was a Wednesday night game, Wolves at Nuggets, and I remember showing up, and I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm gonna watch Ant versus Jokic. I was stoked. I was excited, and both of them were fantastic. But the best player on the floor was Julius Randle, and I was with a buddy who had not really seen. Um, he followed the SWBA, but not that closely. And he's like, man,
Yep.
Julius Randle's kind of going off. And I remember I was like, yeah, I don't know what's happening because this is not normal. Like what Julius Randle is doing right now is like, this is like the
Yeah.
one in a million. Okay, we got the Julius Randle game. Move on. Turns out that was just the first of Julius Randle evolving back into whatever version of himself that he is now. It's incredible. Let's go to the other side, the Eastern Conference, Indiana, New York, the rivalry renewed. Right, the Skip or the who am I thinking of? Not Skip Bayless. The Reggie Miller versus who's the director there? Rico, help me out.
Are you talking about Pat Riley,
No, I'm
Anthony
talking
Mason?
about the guy the director that sits courtside, the
Oh, you're
giant
talking about yes, Spike Lee. Spike
Spike
Lee.
Lee. Why am I trying to say Skip Lee? Anyway, the return of the rivalry of Reggie Miller and the Pacers against
Yeah.
Spike Lee and the Knicks. I mean, this is an awesome old school SWBA rivalry brought back to life. Who do you like and why? And same thing. What's your storyline?
Okay, so look, I like the Pacers a ton in this game, and I think probably people who are listening are probably not going to believe this, but I think the Pacers actually, to me, are a better team than they were last year. I think that they're just a little bit more deeper. I think that the experience factor has helped them. They seem to be locked in at the right time. Like they literally start playing good basketball at the right time. And I just think that I love what Tyrese Halliburton has done. This actually has been one of the best clutch teams down the stretch. And when you look at just the winning, the Pacers have been right there with the elite teams. They've just been quietly behind these teams. And so the fact that they just took down the Cavs like that, I think that they have a ton of confidence. Now, with the Knicks, look, they are a team that we expected to be here, especially with Mikal Bridges and then Carl Anthony Towns. I think really the issue that I have with them, one is, are they going to get fatigued because they play so hard on
Mm-hmm.
the defensive end? I think that that's always been a question with Coach Tibbs' teams, and so they're relatively healthy at this point. Then also too with Carl Anthony Towns, man. I just don't think he can be up and down in this series. And I think he's been a little up and down over their past couple series. They've been fortunate to come back in these comeback games against the Celtics. And so I do think that gives you a ton of confidence. But the Pacers are not going to let you off the hook. If they're up on you, they're not going to just let you back in the game. So I think I like the Pacers here. And once again, I think that this is going to be a 7-game series. I think that they are going to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Absolute great game. They want it. This is just, hey, oh, we remember you from last year. Well, let's settle it. I think
Right.
that this is going to be a terrific series.
I I would love to pick the Pacers, but I'm taking Knicks also in 7. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm taking the Knicks because I just when you look at the stars, Halliburton or Brunson, I think that's even keel. Those are both they count each other out. Behind that, I just have so much more trust in what the Knicks can bring out, right? Bridges has looked fantastic. He looked great in that Boston series. OG Anunoby has been fantastic in this postseason. Um, Carl Anthony Towns has actually really not played that well, and it hasn't mattered for them. And then Mitchell Robinson has just been the biggest difference maker in the front court. And when I look at Indiana, I don't quite know where all the other options come from, right? Like after Jalen Brunson, or excuse me, after Shea Gilgis, geez, I'm bouncing all over the place. Tyrese Halliburton. I go, who's next? Aaron Nemhard. He's maybe your number 2. Is it Miles Turner? Pascal Siakam is the obvious answer as your number 2, but after that, Nemhard, Miles Turner, Obi Toppin. Um, I just don't have a ton of faith that the guys secondarily and tertiarily, if that's even a word, I just don't
Sure.
trust the Pacers' third, fourth, fifth options in the same way that I trust the Knicks' third, fourth, and fifth options.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that. And I think too, to be fair, to throw an argument too towards the Knicks and them not advancing, they went against the Celtics team that was beat up, okay? Because you had
Mm-hmm.
Porzingis was dealing with an illness. Jason Tatum, that was just terrible what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, I mean, they just Drew Holiday wasn't necessarily the same. And so maybe that's the argument that you have there, as far as them advancing. But I just think that the Pacers, to me, I believe in their depth a little bit more, and so I think that that's where you're believing in the guys that they have after the stars. I believe in the Pacers. People after that too, or after their stars. Excuse me. So we'll see what happens. I think that that's where you're going to see Obi Toppin, Thomas Bryant, Benedict Mathurin, right? Like these guys are going to have to step up big time, and I think that they can do it. They've already done it, and they went against a Cavs team that for the most part were relatively healthy. I mean, you could probably argue, okay, well, Darius Garland a little banged up there
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of the series, Donovan Mitchell, but I think for the most part that Cavs team was intact there.
So you're saying that you trust Andrew Nemhard, Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Neesmith, and Obi Toppin over Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, or excuse me, McBride, not Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is cooking for the Sixers. Grimes and whatever else that Thibs is throwing out there. You're trusting 5, 6, 7, and you're carrying more weight for that for the Pacers than the fact that the Knicks are probably better 2, 3, and 4.
I am, and you know what? As far as Tibbs would have to go deeper into his rotation. Is he going to be willing to do that? That's my thing with Tibbs. Like I don't know, is he willing to go that deep into his coaching bag? Because I think that he is going to have to really rely on some guys to step up, like Cameron Payne, Miles McBride. Those guys are going to have to step up big time in this series. You might have to get some big minutes from Precious Achua, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these are players that most people are probably like, who are they? No, they are definitely going to be important in this series because, if Carl Anthony Towns is not playing well, and then Mitchell Robinson, you know what you get with him as a big. You might have to go to a Precious, a guy that can maybe stretch the floor a little bit. You might have to go with Cameron Payne you know, um, if Jalen Brunson goes down or he's ineffective, he's not getting the foul call or something like that to try to stretch the floor. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if the Knicks have necessarily had to rely on that deep of a bench rotation, and I think that the Pacers To me, just to me. Honestly, I think that the Pacers have leaned in on that. They feel comfortable in those situations. Doesn't matter if it's the road or at home. I think that that's why I like the Pacers. But make no mistake about it. This is going seven. I think that there's no doubt about it. This is going 7 games.
All right, let's head to college hoops, where the stunner of all stunners, number 10 Arizona, beats number 3 Iowa on a 3-pointer at the buzzer from Dewan Lifton Cordoba. This is an Arizona team that led for 0 minutes of the basketball game. Literally 0 minutes. There was one tie. It was at 38-38 in the first half. And Arizona trailed by 5 with under a minute left, and they had hit 0 threes all game, and they'd attempted 2 of them. Theophilus Hilton hits a 25-foot three-pointer off the left wing to make it a 2-point game. Missed free throw by Iowa, and then it's Lifton Cordoba hitting the second three at the buzzer to beat the Hawkeyes for Arizona. What was your takeaway from what was an absolutely chaotic win by the Arizona Wildcats?
Just unbelievable. And shout out to Arizona for playing till the very last second. And really, that's what all Hoopsteria is all about. It's about just competing to the finish line. And they were composed enough to take advantage of the moment. And how many times, Marsh, have we seen just the coaching miscue, right? That probably was the most confident team that I've seen in that situation. I think there's countless games that have taken place in this tournament where we're like, what is this? What decision is this? And so I love that Arizona went for it like that and they hit the shot. And can we just talk about the fact that you just mentioned that they missed the free throw? It was incredible because Iowa went to the free throw line 19 times
Yep.
compared to the 8 of Arizona. So it's wild that they still end up losing. And then on top of that, when you look at the turnovers and things like that, like Iowa really, they only had 6 turnovers comparatively speaking to Arizona's 16. And so for Arizona to even be in the game to that point
Yep.
is just literally spectacular. This is May Madness. This is Hoop Stereo.
Yeah, this was a game that Arizona should not have won. 16 turnovers. They were super sloppy on offense. Despite that, despite being outshot by 11 at the free throw line, -6, their shot making inside, specifically Hilton and Juan Valentine and Khalil Erickson, was really, really impressive. I mean, just absolutely stunning. The ability by them to answer the call every single time down. Like it's not even an exaggeration. In the second half, every single time that Arizona or that Iowa scored, Arizona answered. This game was literally at 4 points the entirety of it, and then with about 2 minutes left, Iowa pushes it to 9, and you're like, okay, this is over. We're done. It was like 2.5 left. We're done, right? We had the questionable 1-and-1 foul called that sent Sherwood to the line for free throws. That pushed it to 6, and it was just like, okay, this game is over, and then it wasn't over because Arizona just stuck with it every single time down. Incredibly impressive win for this squad. They march on. They're going to get a date with Alabama, which will be extremely entertaining. But I was thoroughly enjoying that matchup, calling it, and the end obviously was second to none. Just an incredible game to watch, and a congratulations to Arizona. Do you think Alabama is winning that game?
Oh man, gosh, that put me on the spot. That's tough to really say right now, man, because Arizona, they play so tough, and what we forgot to mention really was the matchup of the century going into this one, which was Corey Yams and Lamarian Sherwood. And so let me briefly say that with Corey Yams, like man, I was so impressed with him not forcing the action out there. Marsh, I was very impressed the fact that he made winning plays down the stretch and he didn't have to lead in scoring. And so I know it wasn't a double double for him, but man, I think he was huge for Arizona. And so to answer your question, going into Alabama, I think if Arizona's going to win, he's going to have a huge one. And DJ Childs has been locked in. So initially, right now, man, I like Alabama. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging right now. But that's just a slight like of them. I don't know if that's going to stand. We'll see what happens when it comes down to previewing this one. But right now, I'm with Alabama here.
I am taking Alabama. I need no more research than that. All right, Rico, great having you on. Appreciate you taking the time. Appreciate you all tuning in here on SimWorld TV. We're back tomorrow morning on Wednesday as we get Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, and then we look ahead to Wednesday night, which will be the first two games of the Great 8 at 8 and 9:30. We will be locked in to all of it starting tomorrow, the 21st. All right, thanks all for tuning in here on SimWorld TV. The only place you can see the game, be the game.